My girlfriend said, "These are all the non-negotiables." I replied, "Then find a new girlfriend." Then I wrote my own one-item list, walked out of the restaurant, boxed up her things, changed the locks, and I just watched as her control plan turned into a wild breakup saga I never saw coming. I am 29 years old. My name is Derek. My ex, Bethany, is 27. We had been dating for about 18 months and living together for 6 of those months. On the surface, things seemed fine. Looking back, the signs were there. Constant comments about my clothes, little digs about my friends, suggestions about my hobbies. At the time, I called it compromise. Now I call it training. Last Thursday, she asked me to meet her at this upscale Italian place downtown. She said she had something important to discuss. I thought maybe she got a promotion. I arrived and she was already there, sitting very straight, looking serious. There was a folder on the table in front of her. After we ordered, she slid the folder across to me. She said, "Before we take the next step in our relationship, we need to discuss some things." I opened it. Inside was a laminated sheet. The title across the top said Requirements for Marriage. Under that, it said areas where Derek needs improvement. Laminated. She actually had it laminated. The list went like this. 1. Income. I must increase my salary by at least 40% within 12 months. She wrote that my current salary was inadequate for our lifestyle goals. 2. Physical fitness. I must join CrossFit specifically, lose 15 pounds and develop visible abs. 3. Vehicle. I must trade in my Honda Civic for a marriage-appropriate vehicle, which she defined as a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes only. 4. Wardrobe. Complete overhaul required. She had attached a board of approved looks to follow. 5. Social circle. I must phase out my friends Corey, Miguel, and Josh. She called them negative influences on our future. 6. Hobbies. Gaming limited to 2 hours per week. Golf lessons mandatory because she saw it as networking. 7. Family boundaries. Visits to my mother reduced to holidays only with a separate note attached. 8. Career path. I must commit to an MBA program by next fall. She had already researched schools. 9. Housing. I must commit to buying a home in a specific neighborhood within 2 years. Minimum 3,500 square feet. 10. Social media. I must remove all photos with ex-girlfriends and update my relationship status so it featured her in my profile picture. She watched me read, sipping her wine like she was presenting a business plan. When I finished, she said she had thought long and hard about this and that these were her non-negotiables. She said she needed to know I was serious about our future. This was not a conversation. It was a performance review. I looked at the list. Then I looked at her. She was completely serious. I said, "This is really helpful." Her face brightened. She said she knew I would understand and asked when we could start working on it. I pulled out my phone, opened the Notes app, and typed one line. "Find a new girlfriend." I turned the screen toward her, let her read it, put a 20 on the table for my drink, and walked out. My phone started buzzing before I even reached my car. Calls. Texts. I ignored all of it. I drove home, packed her things into boxes, and called my landlord. I explained that my girlfriend and I had broken up and I wanted the locks changed. She was never on the lease. He said no problem. I put her boxes in the building mail room with a note asking her to pick them up by Sunday. This is what happens when someone treats you like a project instead of a partner. Eventually, the project quits. The fallout was wild. After I left the restaurant, Bethany apparently stayed there for another hour, telling the staff and nearby tables that I was just having a moment and would come back once I had processed her list. The waiter told me this later. I am a regular there. He thought the whole thing was unbelievable. Friday morning, she showed up at my job. Security had to escort her out. She had her laptop open in the lobby, trying to show my coworkers a slideshow called Derek's Transformation Plan. She was asking them to help her talk sense into me. My manager, Carl, later said, "Is this real life?" That same evening, I got a call from my mom. She said, "Honey, Bethany is here. She has brought a therapist." Bethany had driven 2 hours to my mother's house with an actual couples therapist, a man named Dr. Whitman, for what she called an emergency family session. She had told him I was struggling with commitment and that this was an intervention. My mom let them in just long enough to understand what was going on. Bethany had a whole presentation about my potential and how my mother had enabled my underachievement. She talked about how I could be exceptional if the people around me pushed me harder. At one point, my mom asked the therapist a simple question. Did Derek agree to this session? Bethany answered for him. She said I would once I understood what I was throwing away. That is when Dr. Whitman realized how off this was. He told Bethany this was inappropriate and left. My mom told Bethany to leave too. Before she did, Bethany said to my mom, "You are the reason he is like this. You never pushed him to be exceptional." My mom is the woman who raised me alone while getting her nursing degree. To blame her for me not buying a BMW says a lot. Saturday, I got an email from Bethany's dad, Richard. The subject line said business proposal. We had met maybe 5 times before. In the email, he offered me a job at his construction company as a junior manager with the exact salary increase Bethany had demanded. The offer was contingent on me reconsidering my hasty decision and attending couples counseling with his daughter. He copied Bethany on the email and wrote that he had solved the income issue and that the other items on her list were reasonable and achievable with dedication. On Sunday, the pickup deadline came. Bethany did not show up. Instead, her friend Tara arrived with a truck and 3 guys. She had a list from Bethany of what to take. That list included my TV, my gaming console, my coffee maker, and my grandmother's china set. Bethany had told her that the china was basically hers because she used it more. Building security stopped them and called me. I came down and pointed out exactly what belonged to Bethany and what did not. Tara argued that Bethany had invested in improving my apartment and deserved compensation. One of the movers pulled me aside and apologized. He said Bethany told them I was abusive and stealing her things, but that I seemed calm and she seemed unreasonable. They refused to take anything that was not clearly hers and left with only the boxes. For someone who wanted to upgrade me, she sure was determined to take me for parts. Monday, I got a notification from a professional site. Bethany had updated her profile to call herself a life coach and relationship consultant. She had published an article titled "When You Outgrow Your Partner, A Guide to Upward Dating." She did not mention my name, but it was clearly about me. She wrote about how she had spent 18 months trying to elevate a partner who was content with mediocrity, and how she created a framework for relationship advancement that I rejected. What she called a framework, most people would call control. Someone found my post in a relationship advice group where I had shared the story and linked it in the comments under her article. The reaction was rough. People called out the list, the CrossFit demands, the income requirement, the idea of pushing a partner like an employee. She deleted the article within 2 hours, but screenshots were already saved. That night, she sent a final text from her sister's phone, saying I would regret this when I was 40 and alone with my video games. I replied that I was already having more fun alone with my games than I ever had with her lists. Then I blocked that number 2. Corey, one of the negative influence friends I was supposed to phase out, came over with pizza and drinks. We played games until 3 in the morning. It was the best Monday I had had in a long time. I thought it might finally be over. It was not. On Wednesday, my apartment office called. They said a complaint had been filed against me for illegal eviction and theft. Bethany had tried to claim she was a legal tenant and that I removed her without proper notice. The staff member, Deb, showed me the form. Bethany had written that her tenancy was 18 months, 6 months physical and 12 months spiritual. Spiritual tenancy is a new concept. The office reminded her she was not on the lease, had never paid rent, and that there was nothing they could do for her. On Thursday, I was at my regular gym, not CrossFit, when Richard showed up. He is not a gym kind of guy. He came in wearing new workout clothes with the tags still on, pretending he just happened to bump into me. Later, the security footage showed he had been sitting in his car outside for an hour waiting for me. He cornered me by the water fountain and said we needed to talk man to man. He said Bethany came from a good family and had high standards. He said she had those standards because she was raised to expect excellence. He said maybe her delivery was wrong, but her intentions were pure. I told him she had literally graded me like an employee. He said she saw my potential. He said she saw a project. Then he offered to buy me a BMW himself as an early wedding gift. I laughed and told him I did not want a BMW. I liked my Civic. It was paid off. He asked if I was really going to throw away his daughter over pride. He said she chose me. I told him she chose the man she thought she could turn me into. He walked out, leaving his brand new gym bag behind. Friday was quiet. Too quiet. Saturday afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number that said, "Check your mail." In my mailbox, there was an envelope. Inside was a printed profile from a dating app. It used my photos, my age, and my general details. But the bio was not mine. It said I was a successful professional seeking an ambitious woman to build an empire with. It said I was recently out of a relationship with someone who could not match my drive. It said I was an MBA candidate, CrossFit enthusiast, future homeowner, with no time for games or mediocre mindsets. Bethany had made a fake profile of me and was talking to women as if she were me. I found out how far it had gone when my coworker Paulo called. He said his sister had matched with me and that I was acting weird, talking nonstop about synergy and power couples. It turned out Bethany had been lining up dates. 3 women had been given my real address and told to meet me at set times. The first one, Janet, showed up that Saturday night while I was in sweatpants playing a game. She had driven 45 minutes and arrived expecting a date with a driven empire builder. Instead, she found me halfway through a boss fight. I explained everything. I showed her the fake profile and the messages. She was angry at first, but her anger shifted to Bethany once she saw the full story. We reported the profile together. Then we ordered food and sat on my couch, laughing at how absurd it was. She left her number and told me to call her when my life calmed down. She said I seemed normal. Sunday morning, my mom called again. She wanted to know why she had just received an invoice. Bethany had mailed her a bill for $8,743. It was itemized: relationship coaching and life improvement consulting. 18 months at $200 a month. Personal styling services, career counseling and MBA research, meal planning and nutrition guidance, social circle optimization, interior design consultation, future planning and goal setting. At the bottom, it said payment due within 30 days. Failure to pay would result in legal action. My mom, who is one of the calmest people I know, left Bethany a voicemail. She told her to never contact her or me again and said that if Bethany sent more nonsense, she would start billing Bethany for the time she spent reading it. Her rate, she said, was $300 an hour with a 4-hour minimum. Bethany's sister, Megan, reached out to me after that. Not to defend her, but to apologize. She said Bethany had done something very similar before. She sent screenshots from Bethany's ex a couple of years ago. Different list. Same energy. That man had ended up getting a restraining order. Megan said she had tried to warn Bethany about repeating the pattern. She called Bethany a lifestyle curator and told me to document everything because I would probably need a restraining order too. I hired a lawyer, a cousin of a friend, who agreed to help me at a reduced rate. We sent Bethany a formal cease and desist letter. Meanwhile, my friends made a joke out of the situation. Corey, Miguel, and Josh created a drinking game. Every time Bethany tried something new, we took a shot. Miguel's girlfriend finally said we needed a new game because at this rate, we would make ourselves sick. Through all of this, nothing in my actual life had changed except that it was quieter without her lists. I still drove my Civic. I still gamed when I wanted. I still wore my inadequate clothes, and I was more relaxed than I had been in months. Then came the final round. My lawyer sent the cease and desist. Most people would have stopped there. Bethany is not most people. She hired her own lawyer. That lawyer sent a response demanding compensation for breach of an implied contract to improve myself, return of her invested time and emotional labor, a public apology for defamation, and damages for loss of the future lifestyle she reasonably expected. My lawyer read it, left the room because he was laughing so hard, then came back with tears in his eyes. He said he had never seen anyone try to claim damages for losing an imaginary future car. While the legal side simmered, Bethany launched a series of videos on a social platform titled Dating Down, My Story. She did not show her face. She used filters and those animated story characters. She said she had been dragged down by a partner who feared growth and could not handle a strong woman with standards. At first, she got some sympathy. Then people started asking questions. Someone found my posts and connected the dots. The comments turned. People pointed out the laminated list, the cross-fit requirement, the spiritual tendency claim. They told her this was not high standards, it was control. She deleted the videos after the third one, but she still had one more move. She showed up at my cousin Lucia's wedding. She was never invited. After our breakup, she had been explicitly told not to come. Yet there she was, wearing a white dress and trying to position herself to catch the bouquet. Security moved toward her. Lucia was furious. Bethany started crying and telling anyone who would listen that this should have been our wedding and that I had stolen her dreams. She claimed I had promised her we would be engaged or married by now. My aunt, who does not tolerate nonsense, told Bethany she needed to leave before the police were called and suggested she take off the white dress because she looked desperate. Bethany did not leave calmly. She grabbed the microphone during the reception and tried to give a speech about true love conquering obstacles while staring directly at me. The DJ cut the sound. My uncle Antonio and my cousin Marco, who is a police officer, physically carried her out while she yelled about suing for assault. Marco said he would be happy to show the video in court. That last part ended up helping. The restraining order was granted the next week. The judge read everything. The list, the fake profile, the invoice to my mom, the uninvited wedding appearance, the therapist stunt, the messages. He looked tired. He told Bethany that her behavior was concerning, that she needed to leave me alone, and that she might want to seek professional help for herself. When she tried to argue she was the victim, he reminded her that she had sent my mother a bill for being my girlfriend, and that this was not normal. He granted a 2-year order, no contact, no approach within 500 feet. After that, Richard called me again, this time to apologize. He said he had not known how far things had gone because Bethany had told them we were still working things out. He said they never raised her to behave like this. Megan sent me one last message. She said Bethany was now in real therapy, not the staged version she pulled with that therapist at my mom's place. She said their parents finally saw the problem. There was one more twist though. Janet, the woman from the fake date, and I kept talking. We started hanging out. She came to game night and absolutely destroyed us at a racing game. Corey said she was already cooler than Bethany had ever been. She told me she thought my paid-off Civic was smart. She said a reliable car mattered more than a fancy badge. My mom framed the invoice Bethany sent her and hung it in her kitchen. When people come over, she points to it and says, "Can you believe this woman tried to charge me for dating my son?" It has become a family story. Last I heard, through a coworker of Lucia's husband, Bethany moved back in with her parents and started a new self-improvement journey. Apparently, she is making lists for herself now. That is progress, I guess. As for me, I am still gaming with my negative influence friends, still wearing my inadequate wardrobe, still driving my Civic, now with a bumper sticker that says mediocre and proud. Miguel bought it as a joke, but I kept it. I never joined CrossFit, but I did start going to a boxing gym. Not because of any list. Just because I wanted to try it. The trainer asked why I joined. I told him the story. Now they call me List Guy at the gym. They printed Bethany's original list and put it on the wall with a big red X through it as a reminder of what not to train for. At work, my coworkers saved the transformation PowerPoint she brought. They used the template for joke presentations, like requirements for getting Derek to cover your shift. My manager even filled one out that said I required snacks and a show marathon to even consider it. The best revenge is not a clever comeback. It is a calm life where you are allowed to be yourself. Bethany wanted me to change almost everything about who I was to be worthy of marrying her. In the end, I realized I am fine being unworthy in the eyes of someone who treats love like a performance review. Lesson 1. If someone hands you a list of everything you need to change just to earn basic commitment, they are not looking for a partner. They are looking for a project. Lesson 2. Standards are healthy. Controlling every detail of another person's life is not. If their non-negotiables erase you, listen to that. Lesson 3. You do not owe anyone a complete personality, career, and lifestyle overhaul just because they threaten to leave. Lesson 4. Family and friends who see your worth without lists are more valuable than any promise of a bigger car or fancier house. Lesson 5. Walking away early from a one-sided dynamic is not giving up. It is choosing peace over constant performance. Lesson 6. Love should feel like building a life together, not passing an evaluation every quarter. What would you have done in Derek's place? Would you have tried to negotiate that list or walked away at the restaurant? Have you ever had a partner who tried to fix you instead of accept you? Share your thoughts.